My name is Stephanie Hokia. I'm from Slow Food Las Vegas, here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Relatively new chapter, started just over a year ago. And so excited and proud to be a part of the slow food movement. So as many of you know, slow food is a global grassroots movement that's dedicated to good, clean, fair food for all. We envision a world where people can eat food that is good for them, that is good for the people that grow it, and that is good for the planet. In the chat, Brian will be posting a link to Slow Food USA. We'd love for you to go and check it out, learn a little bit more about us. Here in the US, we have over 100 local chapters across the nation. So it's a really exciting time to be a part of Slow Food right now. Slow Food Live, which this event is part of, began last March as a way to bring people together and build a sense of community despite the pandemic. And they've become so popular that, you know, we're going to continue these. We want to really thank TILIA for being a part of tonight's webinar. They're helping us with this mini series that's focused on wine. And this is actually our very first series on wine. So, cheers. Again, let us know what you're drinking besides Margaret's big stein of water. I'm drinking a Chardonnay myself and looking forward to trying some TILIA wines very, very soon. So, TILIA and Slow Food share many values. We share a commitment to defend biodiversity. TILIA, for those of you that had joined us on the first part of the webinar a few weeks ago, they are committed to focusing on preserving and nurturing the plants and the animals and the insects so that the vineyards can adapt to an ever-changing environment. The second big value that we share in common is sustainability. The preservation of the insects and the plants and the animals and how they interact with each other help to create a more resilient vineyard. And that means that it needs fewer external inputs to maintain a healthy balance and improved productivity. And that sustainability isn't just focused on the vineyard and the agriculture, that also includes the people. So tonight, I am very honored to introduce you to three of our folks from TILIA. We have Victoria, also known as Toya, as her friends call her, Guillermina, and Gonzalo. And at this point, I am actually gonna turn it over to Toya, and she will share a little bit more information about Guillermina and Gonzalo and TILIA Wines and the sustainability programs. So take it away, Toya.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Slow Food, for having us here. We're so excited today to be part of this great live session. I would like Guillermina to introduce herself, but for me, I'm Victoria Capelli. I go by Toya. Everyone who's my friend calls me Toya. If you call me Victoria, I can only assume that you're angry at me, so you can all call me that. I work in the TILIA Creative Office in Buenos Aires, Argentina. I actually lived in the United States for a really long time, but now I'm based in Buenos Aires. I'm far away from Mendoza, unfortunately, which I absolutely love to visit. And my job at TILIA is really to connect the small growers that are farming our grapes and producing our wines with the people who drink our TILIA wines, so they can really understand how the lifestyles from the countryside and the city can connect, and how we can all learn from each other as to what sustainable living means and how we practice sustainable living on a daily basis, both in the countryside and the city. And we can all work together to have basically a better world. So I love, I'm really passionate about this project and working with Guillermina, who's now going to introduce herself as well.
And it was beeping out.
Guille?
Thank you, Toya.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Toya. My name is Guillermina Van Houten. I'm an agronomist, which means my work is to grow plants and produce food. And here at TILIA, I take care of sustainability in the vineyards. I was born and raised in Mendoza, but I did a master thesis in France. And I think it was there where I learned the importance of sustainability to produce grapes. And today we want to tell you, to start telling you a little bit about our label. I know we have the presentation.
Yeah.
And Gonzalo, I know the English sometimes a little difficult. So Gonzalo, he believes his love for the vineyard started in his childhood, where in his grandmother's orchard, they grew tomatoes and peppers and squash. And he's always looking for a way to repurpose resources and save water and turn off lights. And he gets that from his father, who is a professional electrician. So every weekend, Gonzalo walks 7 blocks to his family's home for a day-long asado and dreams of one day taking over the grill from his father.
It's gonna be tough. It's always tough to take over someone's barbecue, especially our elders, which we respect so much. But one day, Gonzalo, we're sure that you'll be able to. So the reason why, you know, we're having this conversation, of course, we completely align with Slow Food's, you know, manifesto and vision for the world, is that for TILIA, we have always had a very long-standing relationship, even in the foundation of these wines, with sustainability. It's the way that our growers that we've always worked with historically, and they have inherited traditions from their families, they've always worked this way. And have always lived by sustainable standards. And what we realized back in 2020, throughout the pandemic, was that there wasn't really, you know, a clear understanding on such a complex topic like sustainability in the vineyard or sustainable living in environments like Mendoza or around wine production. So we decided to redesign the label to make it very illustrative and utilize these icons to explain what sustainability in the vineyard actually looks like, especially in Argentina and specifically in Mendoza and other regions where we grow our grapes. And so TILIA has always had, even before we redesigned the label in 2020, this certified sustainability seal that you can see in the next slide. Next slide, please. Bueno, we'll see it eventually. It's a certified sustainability seal. And what does that mean? That means that, you know, as of 2011, there was a sustainability protocol that was developed that basically brought together all of the wineries across Argentina, primarily in Mendoza, but in other regions as well, like Salta, La Rioja, etc. And about 80 vineyards and wineries have been certified since its institution in 2011. And the way that it works is that this sustainability protocol basically offers, you know, the wineries or the vineyards specifically that are looking for certification, these different categories that the wineries or the vineyards can self-assess themselves against, and, you know, basically set goals and then track progress, and then a third-party auditor will come and review that that progress has actually taken place and provide a certified sustainability seal. And so this seal we have in our back label of the bottle, where you can also find the description of the iconography that now represents sustainable living in Argentina, just in general. And so, you know, with these illustrations that we have, what we're looking to do is really create action around sustainability in Argentina and around the world. We essentially want to create a movement where people are inspired to share their sustainable living moments and everything that they do in their daily lives on whatever platforms they like to communicate and with whomever they want to share that with. And then we're also proud to say that we make these wines with organic grapes. Because we work with, about 50% of the people who grow our wines are small growers, and then we also have our own grapes. So it's a lot of paperwork for us to achieve certification, but we're currently working on certification. Guillermina is going to tell you a little bit more about that in the Eastern region. And by 2023, we will have the official certification of the organic grapes that we use for our wines. So with that, Guillermina is now going to tell you a little bit about each of these symbols and what that means. We're going to first start strongly on social sustainability, and then we can continue with our conversation.
Yes. So on the back of any TILIA bottle, as Toya said, you will see these 5 symbols that represent our pillars. The first one, and we will talk today about this, is social sustainability. So at the core of TILIA's ethos is the dedication to the community and ensuring that people who enrich the land prosper. So we see social sustainability as those actions that can create to have healthy and livable communities. We will start by understanding what people need themselves and in the places they live and work, and think how we can provide conditions that will promote well-being, and so they can continue to evolve and grow. So we offer our community an array of social programs, and we will develop a little bit more about this now. To begin with, one of the issues that we work on constantly to address is youth development and retention. Over time, in Mendoza, working in the vineyard has become unpopular among young people, even if their parents have done well throughout their lives in that craft. So after school, most young people are looking for jobs in the city or in other provinces. So there are some skills such as pruning that take many years to perfect, and not many young people even consider it as an option. So nowadays, pruners are elders who have mastered the technique for years, and we need new generations to fall in love with this craft as well. So to avoid future exodus of potential local workers, we show them they can have secure, well-paid jobs close to their homes. So the winery collaborates closely with local high schools on internship programs for students to come and work in the vineyards, and we encourage these students to consider viticulture or agriculture in general as a viable career option. So, for example, we have a girl and her friend and a young boy who wanted to be police officers. They had never been in the vineyard before, and they didn't know the type of work, what it was involved, because they didn't visit vineyards with their parents. So they did an internship with us. They experienced how we work. We share our know-how with them, and they felt it was a great job. So we encouraged them to study agricultural careers. Now the young man works in the vineyard with us, and one of the girls changed her mind and is now starting to be a field technical. And for us, it was a huge win because we promote them to stay close to their communities.
Yeah, so that's definitely something that we are constantly working on, and wanting to inspire basically young generations to consider a life in the vineyard and for their own well-being. And then the other thing that we always are working on is finding passion points among the people that work at our winery to help them also continue to grow and develop as well. So such is the case of Janina Prieto. Janina Prieto is the daughter of Don Prieto. Her father had been working at the winery for many, many years. And Janina takes care of hospitality. So she greets guests that come to visit and helps coordinate the tastings. And she's been working at the winery since 2016. After school, she actually studied pharmacy, but then she got married when she was young, around 23 years old. she got pregnant, wanted to focus on the married life. And so she was basically tending to her husband. And all of a sudden, she had a tragic incident in her life where her husband passed away unexpectedly. So she was encouraged by someone within the winery to consider continuing her education and studying something related to the activities that she did at the winery. So she enrolled in the beginning all by herself to take a course on to become a sommelier. And she's recorded a mini video for us today, and we can play it now so you can all see to hear her story.
Bueno, mi nombre es Janina Prieto, tengo 30 años, tengo un hijo que cumplió hace poquito 3 añitos, se llama Felipe.
I'm sorry, are the subtitles playing?
Soy viuda y bueno, vivimos acá los dos solitos en nuestra casa, nuestra casita. Empecé a trabajar en el 2016 en una finca, trabajaba al día en una viña. Ahora trabajo en una bodega, en el área de hospitalidad. Trabajo cuando vienen grupos de turismo de diferentes lugares, llegan a hacer diferentes degustaciones, así que me encargo de lo que es coordinar los horarios, del almuerzo, de las degustaciones. Hoy por hoy preparo cada degustación, las copas, el agua, todo lo que se necesita para que la gente pueda sentirse cómoda, que pueda pasar un buen momento. Me capacité, fui a una bodega, con el cocinero aprendí a hacer todo lo que es manipulación de alimentos. También me estuve capacitando con el servicio del vino. Justamente estábamos todos en la misma situación, en una situación parecida, y una persona muy querida, muy allegada a mí, me sugirió, me propuso hacer un curso, una capacitación de 3 meses de duración de sommelería. Y bueno, al principio lo hice como por hacerlo, por cumplir, porque era de parte de ellos. Lo sentí como un regalo, como, digo, bueno, hacerlo. Y me terminó encantando tanto esos 3 meses, que para mí fueron los mejores, porque tenía el tiempo de estudiar, tenía el tiempo de investigar. Ahí en ese momento cuando me inscribí sola por hacerlo. Era muy caro, muy costoso, la inscripción, las cuotas, pero en ese momento me dije, bueno, lo voy a hacer como para yo misma ir creciendo de a poco, ir superándome por mí, por mi hijo, que la verdad que es una gran ayuda de parte de la bodega, que me den esta oportunidad, y sobre todo también el apoyo de ellos, el acompañamiento que me han dado en todo este tiempo, desde que empecé a trabajar en esta familia. Me encanta, la verdad. Y el mensaje puntual sería que siempre hay que estudiar, que siempre hay que intentar crecer de la manera que tengas las posibilidades. Yo hoy por hoy tuve esta posibilidad, tengo esta posibilidad, pero uno no siempre la tiene. Yo creo que el momento puntual es hacerlo cuando tenés esa posibilidad, poder aprovecharla al 100, poner todo de vos.
That's Janina, isn't she fantastic? She's just so inspiring, because she's faced so many challenges in her life and has a really young, baby boy who's always running around and keeping her busy. But for us, it's these stories that make the difference. And this is the positive and lasting impact that we want to help create in the people that work with us and in our neighboring communities, because the fact that they seek to grow and continue to pursue their passions and progress, for us, is that's the definition of sustainability. So now Guillermina is going to talk a little bit about reviving the region.
Yeah, because we always say that none of these programs can actually happen without funds, which is why we promote the development of winemaking regions that may be undervalued. For example, one of the wines we will be tasting here tonight comes from the eastern region of Mendoza, the Bonarda. The east is the most productive region in terms of volume, So growing varieties in new regions allows to bring economic progress among local populations. So in the eastern part of Mendoza, Bonarda variety grows very well because it needs a lot of sun and warm climate to be able to ripen well. And this is what the East has. It receives a lot of radiation from the sun and a very warm temperatures for a long time. So this region gives us exactly what the Bonarda grapes need, a very long cycle in which they can ripen and very well from late March through mid-April. So Bonarda has also compact clusters, which requires a dry climate. So again, there in the eastern region, sorry, there is a little grain that helps prevent. There is a very little rain that helps prevent diseases like grape rot, which is a disease that compact bunches are very prone to catch. So this dryness means that we don't need to use pesticides to control diseases. So the East is ideally suited to become known as a natural place to farm organically. We are working, as Toya told you before, we are working on organic certification in the Eastern region because people are willing to pay more for organic grapes, which leads to more economic development in the area. We currently have 50 hectares that have been certified organic in this region. We will have 200 hectares more certified by 2022 and 1,200 by 2023.
Exactly. So that's why we talk about reviving the eastern region of Mendoza, because it's a place that makes very high quality, good value wines, like the Bonarda variety that Guillermina was talking about. But if the East isn't recognized for its quality, then the pricing will not necessarily go along with it. And you know, the economics need to be there in order for these programs and for the economic development around the region to actually happen, and for, you know, local workers to continue to grow and you know, progress. So it goes beyond over delivering on quality, which these TILIA wines absolutely do. I'm not sure if you have been drinking throughout, but please, you know, take a taste as we go along. You know, they sell for about $12 and it's the best deal out there. You're drinking organic wine with really high quality grapes. And so yes, this is why we talk about reviving the Eastern region. Here's the picture from the presentation.
Yeah, the great picture. Thank you.
Another critical thing that we do in order to support, you know, the local workers, people that have been working with us for years, we provide housing for. So at this time, you know, TILIA provides 56 vineyard families ready to use homes that they can just do whatever they want with them. They're able to just use it freely with no additional charges and all utilities paid for. And many live their whole lives there, and they just have their orchards, grow their own vegetables, have their, you know, their own animals, and just like self-sustain, you know, as they work the vineyards. We provide them with a space to have animals, chickens, pigs, you name it, everything they just have, and they grow, you know, whether in their environments or they're, you know, obviously free to go to the supermarket as well. But we're happy to be able to provide these homes for these families, because it really also makes a difference in how we support them as they also work hard for the winery as well. And then for some of the families that are located in very remote areas, and for many actually throughout that are in neighboring communities, TILIA provides buses to shuttle the kids over to school, and that has had a really excellent impact in the amount of women that participate during harvest. There's been like a 20% increase in women participating in harvest, because as the kids are sort of like taken care of, not only with the shuttling of the buses to the schools, but also after school programs or summer programs that are educational, where they can get into sports and arts and basically support their their ongoing studies. This also is like really fantastic. We get like about 80% of the family's children participating in this program annually on average. And this has allowed more women to work as well, which is something that we always encourage and we love, because we feel like, you know, that that women having like a strong profession is always something that's beneficial to society as a whole. So one of the women that represents this, like she's like the epitome, I'm not sure if you pronounce it epitome, but she's like the best of the best within our winery, which we all super admire, is Laura Gonzalez. She's the head of quality control at the winery, and her story is really interesting. She started working with us in 2004. She's this like very tiny woman with a very fierce personality, and she's very soft-spoken, but she has this personality that everyone respects, so no one dares, you know, they'll contradict her in, you know, in a fair work discussion, but she definitely has a strong personality. She's very soft-spoken and full of energy. And what's interesting about Laura is many things, but one of the things is that she got pregnant when she was 15 years old. So she was still in school. She was in like third year of secondary school, which is high school here. And she had her kid, and her parents gave her the option of, you know, do you want to continue studying or do you want to go off and get married and take care of your kid? And she decided to continue to study. That same year that she had her baby, who now works at the winery, and Guillermina knows her well.
Yeah.
That same year, she was the one that was chosen to carry the Argentinian flag in the end of year act, which is one of the honors that students that have the best averages get. And she got a ton of support from the school, and she was able to do that. But she went on to study 2 careers, which was, of course, super impressive. Initially, she had dreamt of studying biochemistry in San Luis, but because her parents couldn't afford it, in the end, she decided to study bromatology instead, and she also graduated with honors. And then she did a master's in management that she didn't quite finish, but she did, you know, actually finish 2 careers. And then she just started getting into, you know, different plans. She worked for this plan called Plan Alimentar, like Plan Nourish. That's what it means in English. And she would, those plans were focused on providing food with high nutritional content to people in need. And so she was responsible for the quality of the foods. And so with that, she transitioned on to a winery, and then she started working on on handling quality control. Then there was a tragic incident that she, you know, felt like she couldn't continue to work there anymore. So that led her to become a counselor. So she had like 11 clients simultaneously that she was providing counsel for, food companies, pharmacies for many years, working on different, you know, certifications like the ISO 9001 or the ISO 22,000 and others. And so then eventually she, you know, she landed at our winery, which we were super excited to have her. And she's been, you know, key to installing this sustainability management system and basically the entire documents that allow for to keep track of all the quality and safety practices at the winery. And it's now turned into, it's gone from like quality control to like the integral management of the chain. And she's always had like this goal to, you know, empower women. She felt like she had a lot of role models in her life that encouraged her throughout and was supporting her whenever she was facing, you know, tough times. And that's what makes her so inspiring, that she looks at her team and the women that have also sometimes, you know, have faced difficult situations and looks for ways to identify what they're passionate for and coach them and train them into building, you know, their own careers and continuing to grow. And her daughter is actually following in her footsteps, working with her in the same department. So she's always looking first to find talent within her own team whenever there's a new need that arises, and giving that person or those people or those team members the tools they need to grow. There's one of the women that work with her who's also called Laura, but her name is Laura Maroto, who started washing, wine glasses. And there were others that just started as quality analysts that have grown to manage like 16 people at a time within the department. So, we love to tell her story. We would have had a video of her as well. She's been on her honeymoon actually. So she did try several times to send us a video, but in the end, it didn't quite work out from a technological perspective. But as you can see from this picture, she's just an amazing woman.
Yeah, we all admire Laura. And after these nice stories, just briefly, I will tell you the rest of the pillars of that you can see in the label. This one, deeply rooted, means this pillar refers to the traditions and to our traditions. And I love to explain this with the vines roots. Vines has very extensive root system to take water and nutrients. Malbec variety, for example, has a very deep root system. So it uses to catch nutrients and water. And without water, we wouldn't have these deep roots. So we said tradition because to water our vineyard, we still use the same sophisticated canals that our native people used, designed, and built 600 years ago. So to make water melting from the Andes arrive to each vine. So that's that we say that we love, and we still use some things that are traditional for us. The next one is thriving on biodiversity. We have talked a lot about this in the other webinar, but biodiversity is the variety of living organisms on Earth, and biodiversity is important because it allows us to have naturally balanced and resilient ecosystems. In our case, we want to have stronger vineyards, and resilient means an ecosystem that will be able to recover quickly from any difficult condition, like, I don't know, climate change or a pest, for example. And the next one is natural resilience. So there's a reason that which some techniques have been done here in Mendoza and Argentina in our viticulture for many years. So that means we won't have the same solution of management techniques that, if, for example, may have in other countries, and we still use the things that we have used for a lot of years ago. And stronger together means that, to explain this, we chose a bee as a symbol because, bees are team workers and everything the bee does helps us. So bees represent what we need to do. The bottom line, the core of sustainability is that there is no one thing that will help you continue making wine or help us continue making wine for hundreds of years. So we believe it's a sum of things. We won't be able to continue making wine without leaving the earth in a better shape we found it. So that is not easy, and there are threats everywhere. But this is like the summary that reflects our values, to honor our traditions, to support our communities, and to respect nature and biodiversity. I think
and now the moment has come that everyone's been waiting for.
Yeah.
Now we all get to taste our wines. Gonzalo, this is your show now.
Hi everyone, my name is Gonzalo Llensa. I am the winemaker for TILIA Wines. I have been working with TILIA from the beginning, since 2015, and I really love it. I think I found my passion for the vineyard and winemaking when I used to grow tomatoes, peppers, and squash in my grandmother's orchard. Tilia is the name of the linden tree that grows in Mendoza, whose leaves are served as calming herbal tea, which our workers typically drink at the end of the day when they are back at home. And I remember when the people come to visit we always do TILIA tasting under the linden trees we have in our backyard. Um, TILIA Wines, our focus is always to highlight the fruit and maximize the potential of each grape. Our wine are made from a blend of organic grapes that come from the south, central, and eastern region of Mendoza. And I think that about the 50% of our grapes come from Tilia vineyard, and another 50% are from the small growers with whom we have worked for many years, and our agricultural engineers provides these small growers the guidelines on sustainability best practice to carry out in their farming. Um, okay, when it comes to tasting and enjoy a wine, the first thing we have to say is that behind each glaze, there is a lot of work from the vinegar to the bottle. Yes, and when tasting consists of three phases. The first one is observing, the second one is smelling, and the last one is tasting. The first one, that is observing, we begin with observing where we are going to look through the glass, its color and tonality. Here we can determine if a wine is younger or older. In the case of the white wines, young wines will be paler in color and with greenish reflection. And in the case of the older white wines, golden tones will appear. In the case of the young red wines, more maybe violet tones will appear. Will in other ones more orange tones will appear, and we can see that the intensity of the color in the case of the white wines will increase, while in the red wines will decrease with the passage of time. The second one is smiling. It is the phase we will find the aromas of the wine. The primary aromas that are typical of the grapes, like fruit and floral aromas, and the secondary and tertiary aromas that come from the fermentation and aging of the wine, like, for example, butter, wood, leather, tobacco, chocolate, etc. The last one is tasting with the mouth. It is the phase that everyone likes the most. Here we will to evaluate the entrance in the mouth, the evolution in the mouth, and the aftertaste. But as we always say, at the end of the day, the important thing is to enjoy it. Yes.
Exactly. Salud.
Cheers. Salud.
Cheers.
Tilia wines include red wines and white wines. The red wines are Malbec, Cabernet, Merlot, Malbec Syrah, and Bonarda. And the white wines are the Chardonnay and Torrontés. What I think is most interesting about Tilia wines is that in most regions you don't see that many different grape varieties being made like we do in Mendoza. Our wines are made from a blend of organic grapes that come from the south, central, and eastern region of Mendoza. Here in Mendoza, We grow grapes in a desert, which is very unusual. We are at high altitude because we plant at the foothills of the Los Andes mountain, and we have this ideal condition of climate and soil that allow us to create seven varieties of wine. They all benefit from the bright, bright sunlight intensity, the cool night, the healthy condition to the dry climate and low rainfall to generate great concentration of flavors in the grapes. Okay, we can taste the first one is the Bonarda, is 2020 Bonarda, is 100% Bonarda, and is my favorite.
And Guillermina's favorite
Mine
too.
too. Yeah.
Bonarda is a variety of Italian and French origin that is planted over Argentina. It is the second widely planted red wine variety. It is known for having lots of fruit aromatic and bright acidity. It is a little lighter than Malbec, but we love it because it is more similar to Dolcetto or Pinot Noir. It is a little lighter, but a lot more texture. For the wine making, you need to avoid having the wine head up. You need to keep it fresh with some of the skin, so that you highlight some of the fruit and nice acidity. This wine, in appearance, we can see violet color, the nose packed with dark fruit marmalade and space flavors, has a sweet entry, followed by soft round tannins, bright basil leaves, and blueberry flavors that linger on the palate. And for this wine, I think that pair this wine with the strong flavor of the game or the healthy flavor of mushroom, or with both in a dish like maybe braised venison with creamy mushroom. I don't know. The second one is our Malbec. Is 2020 Malbec. Is 100% Malbec. Malbec, has some of you may know, is Argentina's flagship variety, is the most widely planted red variety. And why is that? It is because Malbec is like a marriage made in heaven and having with Argentina. It does very well here. Really, the Malbec does very well here. It has a deep root system. It loves the sunlight and it like a very dry climate because doesn't rain a lot, and that is why it's so easy in Argentina to farm organically and sustainably. The Malbec is known for this dark color. It's a very rich wine. It's very complex. Um, what separates it from the another varieties like Cabernet Sauvignon is that it has a very smooth tannins. The winemaking for the Malbec is very traditional. We don't do much to the wine. We get the grapes, we ferment them, we leave it alone and get this beautiful wine. Because of the high altitude in Mendoza, there is a good acidity, So you get this very rich, complex wine with very smooth tannins and nice acidity. In the view of this Malbec, is bright red color with intense violet hues. It has fresh notes of violet and rich plum marmalade, laced with chocolate and vanilla oak flavors. A soft, sweet entry leads to a structured and long and persistent wine. And I think that it has a round, silky tannins. For the food pairing for this Malbec, I think that this Malbec pairs nicely with a meat dish that mirrors its tiny berry flavors like cranberry pot roast or maybe roast dog with sauce cherry sauce, I think. And the last one is Torrontés, is 2020 Torrontés, is 100% Torrontés. Torrontés is the native variety from Argentina. It is originate from the mix of grapes that came to the country in the 16th century with the Spaniards when they came to the Americas, and it is a cross of the Muscat of Alejandría and Criolla Chica, and this gives us Torrontés. Torrontés has the most amazing aromatic. There are terpenic, somewhat similar to Riesling. Is very floral. Is very mineral with a lot of white fruit and white flowers. And I will say that when you smell Torrontés, you know it could not be anything else. It is very fresh, and I think that is unique. It actually comes from the north of Argentina, from the province of Salta. That is where the best Torrontés come from. It is a very refreshing. Is very good for the summer. The one making is without any oak because we don't want to cover the beautiful floral aromas of this wine, and we don't use any oak. Yes, we also have protect it from the oxygen, close the tank firmly, and never let any oxygen in because it is a wine that if you let any oxidation happen, then you lose to those lovely minerals and floral aromatic. In the tasting note, I can see that in this wine we can appreciate pale yellow color with greenish hues. Um, in the nose is intense nose of passion fruit, citrus, and freshy cut grass. Is very fresh, concentrated vegetal and tropical flavors on the palate, and it has a long and persistent finish. And the fragrant quality of the TILIA Torrontés have a particular affinity for dishes featuring aromatic ingredients like lemongrass, cilantro, ginger, and star anise. This wine will be a fantastic companion to any dish served with herb seafood sauce or just a simple prepare, I don't know, dish of fish in cilantro. Okay, it is all.
Thank you, Gonzalo. That was
Thank you
amazing.
very much.
We all want to try all those food pairings with the wines now as well, so we're hungry.
Absolutely, and we have some great questions from our audience. Is this a good time to go ahead and jump in?
Yes, let's go.
Fantastic. So one of our questions is about aging. So are the wines ready to drink now, or do you recommend aging any of them to drink later?
Gonzalo, la pregunta es si se pueden tomar ahora los vinos o si se van a añejar bien en algunos años.
I recommend drink during the year, but maybe 2 or 3 years in the bottle is no problem. But I recommend appreciate the fruit and the freshness of the wine.
That sounds good. The way you described the Bonardo with the fresh, bright basil leaves and blueberries, it sounds amazing. And there's actually a couple folks that are drinking Bonardo right now. And one of the questions was, where can they find at stores near them?
So we have distribution in places like, well, we definitely sell through wine.com, Costco's, Trader Joe's. You can find it at like Whole Foods. If you have any questions on places or specific marketplaces that you are located in that you can't find the wines, you can go ahead and send us, a direct message through either Instagram, which is at TILIA Wines, or Twitter, or Facebook, whatever channel you prefer, and we can go ahead and assist you with finding a wine in your market.
Oh, that's great, Toya. Thank you. And just as a reminder, don't forget to check the chat. There's links to Slow Food Live events. There's a link to TILIA Wines as well. So you described, Gonzalo, you described the Bonardo as a light wine. What's the alcohol content on it?
Del Bonarda, el contenido alcohólico.
13 degrees.
Nice. Thank you.
13 and a half.
Thank you. And there was also a question about the fermentation. Is it done in French oak, American oak? Do you ferment in steel tanks?
Yes, we ferment in steel tanks, and we use for the red wines French and American oak, maybe the 50% of the volume. And for the white wines, we ferment in steel tank too. And for the Torontes, we without use any oak, sorry. But for the Chardonnay, we use French oak, but only the 25% of the volume of the total volume.
Thank you. And so as a consumer, I love the stories about how TILIA is committed to social sustainability. And so having that seal, how do I find that on wines? If I want to support wines that are focused on sustainability, how do I find that sustainability seal?
Oh, it's usually located in our back label. You can see it right above the barcode. Traditionally, that's where those certifications are. That's where the Bodegas de Argentina certified sustainability is for us. But yes, so.
Okay, great, thank you. So it came across really well how important sustainability is to TILIA. And I'm just curious, why is that? Why is sustainability so important to TILIA Wines?
I think for us, sustainability is basically at the core of everything that we do. We believe that we are all able to contribute positively to the world that we live in, and it's part of every action that we take. We see social sustainability concretely as those actions that, you know, create these healthy and livable communities, and it's important because we want to leave the world a better place, and our winery is really part of the fabric of a community, and as active participants of that community, we believe in contributing positively to those lives that we affect continuously, and the spaces and the places that we operate in, where we create our wines.
Oh, nice. So these social sustainability programs, have they been a part of TILIA since the beginning?
Yes, I think TILIA's first harvest began in 2015, and the group of viticulturalists and agriculturists and growers that, you know, that we started working with had been doing, you know, this sustainable farming for many generations within their families, and that's just the way that they were accustomed to doing things. And so it was already part of the DNA of TILIA from its very inception. We just came to redesign the label in 2020 because we felt like there was a lot of talk around sustainability and not a clear understanding on such a complex topic, that we felt like we could utilize the, you know, the label to illustrate and really help understand all the, you know, the things that are involved in terms of sustainability in the vineyard, and hopefully empower people to share their own sustainable living stories, how they do, you know, every single mini thing that they do in their daily lives, be it that they live in the city or the countryside, to, you know, to contribute to a better world. So that's what's behind everything that we do in terms of sustainability at our winery.
This is so great. It not only did we get to enjoy good wine, but wine that does good things for people. So thank you so much, Toya and Guillermina and Gonzalo. It's been wonderful having you this evening. And, you know, hopefully we can do this again sometime soon. And any other, before we leave, do we have any other questions from our audience?
Well, please visit our website, www.tiliawines.com. You can find information of our wines there. We have our social media channels are really active. We definitely engage through there. We love to hear what you think of our wines, where you're finding them, where you're not finding them. Please share everything, because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that you all get to enjoy this and be part of our movement of sustainable living.
Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
For my sister, she joined me tonight. For support. Yay. Thank you so much. Everybody have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.